Hey guys, my internet's been infuriating, so sorry, I haven't done anything in a while. But first update of the year, update 8.0 is finally out, so I'm gonna try and do a video now, and hopefully this works. And we can get you up to date on some of the things that are changing here. So anyway, first things first, I'm gonna close the game. And open it. So very first change is that the loading screen here kind of goes a bit faster, as you can see. That was a little bit faster than it used to be. So come in now, and I haven't actually got any progress on it. Ugh. But we have a new map, carts and darts, and I can't open it in Sandbox because I haven't actually beat it yet. But here it is. So balloons kind of, let's get a little cinch down. So they come around here, go down here, and then they exit this way. You cannot place at all in these areas in the middle, but you can sell them for 500. So they're not that expensive, really. So pretty easy map, honestly. Not the easiest, but pretty easy. Another thing, we'd have to go through a whole game to actually show it, but if you go on easy, not easy, medium, the reverse mode has kind of actually been made proper reversed. So they've always come out the other like the exit rather than the entrance, but they now actually spawn in reverse order as well. You can't tell them round one because they're all the same balloon, but for example, like round 93, round 90, whatever, the DDTs will spawn before the LEDs, basically. So stuff like that. And if I find a mode that we can do reverse on, let's just go in here. Actually, no. In the Loop is my signature map for testing anything at all. Okay. We now have 3D MOABs. Yeah, they're actually 3D. You can't really tell so much on the regular blue MOABs, but the other ones, they're pretty good. And the fortified bad looks pretty sick, actually. That's probably my new favorite one. Look at that thing, it's amazing. And I tried to exit, then I failed. New Churchill Skin. I have not bought this yet, but let's do it. Alright. It looks, it looks pretty good in my opinion. My favorite thing is the level 10 ability. Let's just upgrade him. Boom, 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 boom. Hell yeah. Send a bunch of MOABs. And I just, I need to make sure I don't cover my microphone. And level 10 ability, I love it. I just wish it went on for longer. But that's great. And the final kind of general change here is that Insta-Monkeys are now awarded every 100 rounds rather than just at round 100. So those are the actual like features sort of things of this update. Not too much. It's we haven't actually been at work for very long yet because, we had holidays and some people left before the holidays for extra weeks. Some people left after the holidays for a couple extra weeks. So we actually haven't had many people at all in the office for a while. So yeah, sorry, we have not had much time to work on stuff. This is mainly just bugs and balance, but there's a lot of balance which was mostly done by me, pretty much all of it, based on a lot of feedback from you guys and the community. So I hope that is appreciated. I'll skip most of the bug fixes, but generally, like the bomber race bug crashing in races has been fixed. The time glitch has been fixed. The balloons that don't get like cut in half anymore when they're knocked back. Some peninsula bugs were fixed. A few general tower ones. So the exploit with the Comanche was fixed, so putting it off in the corner now doesn't make it stronger, it actually makes it weaker like it should. A few fixes happened with the Mortar. They hit things all correctly now. and their damage counts up correctly. And there was a big problem with the tier 5 blue incineration, where it was burning one less tick than it should. So it actually does 100 extra damage to MOABs now, because before it was burning twice for 200, now it burns 3 times for 300. There was a big problem with the Wall of Fire. It was actually dealing about 3 times as much damage as it should, or basically damage 3 times as quickly as it should. And it's a bit complicated to explain how exactly that was happening, but it was messed up. So the Wall of Fire is now much weaker. But as we'll see later, it has actually been buffed as well to accommodate for this. A few more minor ones. Just fixed with acidic mixture dip. One that was reported a few times recently. The Balloon Master Alchemist cannot cause the round to kind of end with Balloon still alive anymore. And a bunch of bug fixes with Azili, which are mostly kind of minor. And that's all of the kind of bug fixes, really. And now, coming off of that, let's just jump into a Sandbox. We actually have all the balance changes, and a fair few balance changes. We may as well go through all of these, even though there's quite a lot. And I'll show off the towers a bit, but I mean, I can't really compare to an older version. But Crossbow Master, basically it crits 20% more often. It used to be roughly around 10 shots, and this was basically between 8 and 12 shots. Now it's roughly every 8 shots, so now it's between 6 and 10 shots. So about 20% more frequent crits. So we should... And you will notice that you'll be getting your crits a lot more often, basically. Bionic Boomerang, got a small one. This isn't really... I mean, it's helpful, not too big. But if you send a MOAB, you'll see the damage goes up in 2s now. It's gained a +1 damage to MOABs buff. So any MOAB class balloon, it'll do double damage, basically. It's not actually double damage, it's just +1, so like if you Alchemist buff it, it'll go up to 3. But the base tower is doubly powerful against MOABs now, so that's pretty good for just against the base tower, and it's a pretty good buff in general. Due to a lot of community feedback, mainly to do with the monkey knowledge, Balloon Impact now refreshes its stun duration. So as you can see here, I perma-stun these balloons. And this obviously carries through to the higher tiers. So I can stun lock my MOABs. It is a very expensive tower, so as OP as this is, it's kind of hard to do, but yeah. Interesting. So attack shooter, its attack rate was increased, so it used to have a cooldown of 1.6 seconds, now it's 1.4. So it's a smallish buff, but this applies to all tiers. So basically every single upgrade for the attack shooter is slightly faster now. In addition to this, I'll actually place it at the back so we can show it off. The top half, Inferno Ring, gained an extra attack. So it now fires this little meteor which homes in and one-shots MOABs. It does 700 damage. So it actually one-shots BFBs. It only hits one target, but we'll just put this here. Stop at 4 so it doesn't attack. And that gives it extra pierce. So when it goes off now, you'll see it actually hits a couple this time. And you can like Alchemist buff it and everything as well. So boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 MOABs. One-shots all of them down to ceramics. So this is probably one of my new favorite towers. It's pretty cool, and when you like super buff the attack speed on this, it's real cool. Great fun, great fun. And so the Balloon Solver, boom. This one, it gained +1 damage to MOABs and ceramics. So it used to, I think it used to be 2 damage. Yeah, 2 damage per tick. Now it's 3 damage per tick. So it takes out ceramics and MOABs faster. It was always good. Now it's about a third even better. Oh, 50% better. Can't argue that. It was always kind of good, but hopefully it'll see a lot of use now since it's better than good. Glue Storm. Throw that up. And I'll just put a Dart Monkey here. So basically, anything glued by this takes +1 damage. So Ceramic won't help. So I get this yellow, sorry, that's not yellow, it's pink. And if I hit that with my Dart Monkey now, it goes down to a green and then down to a red. So basically, any tower that does 1 damage per shot is twice as powerful when against targets that are glue stormed. This will be, I think this is going to be very situational because it's only good for like fast attacking low damage towers, but it will be really good for like ninja strategies, I think. We'll have to wait and see. It's very cheap, so a cheap +1 damage to all targets, and it works on MOABS as well. It's actually pretty good, but I don't know exactly how effective it'll be. We'll have to work it out. The super glue kind of got a buff. It's semi-buff, so the slow amount was reduced from 100 to 90, so it doesn't permanently like stall MOABs anymore, but it now damages them. So as you can see, it actually destroyed that MOAB when previously it would take forever to destroy them. This is meant to be a buff, though. As you can see, like you can't perma-stun targets anymore, which is like the main use for it. So that's kind of sad, but I mean, you're pretty much still perma-stunning them there. Just look at that, like 90% is still insane. And the amount of damage you gain, this tower is pretty good now. There is a bug with it though, where if you get glue splat, it will, I mean obviously it's broken here. It's a bit weird, basically. There's a lot of weirdness around getting the glue splat. And that'll be fixed in time, and as you can see it starts even stunning them again with the glue splat, but just know that that's bugged and it's already known. Alright, so finally getting onto the Wall of Fire, like I mentioned before. Wall of Fire is a lot cheaper, so it used to be 1,400, now it's 900, so it's a lot cheaper, but it is weaker. Overall, it's roughly the same for the price, I guess. It might even be a little bit better considering the fact that it's just easier to place now. Like it doesn't take as long to get. That helps a lot. That actually helps quite a lot. So it's still very good. I don't know if it's better or worse, but as you can see, it still does very effectively. So it's a pretty great tower still. It's not going to stop seeing use. Although the tier 3 now makes the Wall of Fire summon more often. So as you can see, I have 2 up at once briefly. Basically, just it attacks like 1 second faster on the Wall of Fire once you get tier 3. The Summon Phoenix ability, it is now twice as powerful, and I don't know if this will really get it to see much use, but we'll use it here. And basically, the damage went from 1 to 2. It's still a bit awkward, and the targeting is weird, but it can take these out. I think that maybe the duration might just be a bit short, although it's lasting a fair while, I guess. It gets a couple loops in. It's just kind of awkward with the targeting still. But it's a really cheap upgrade, so I don't know. We might see something there. We'll have to wait and see. I can clear these. So Master Bomber. This guy got a bunch of changes. Firstly, the tier 4, it detonates 1 second sooner. So it used to detonate after 4 seconds, like applies a bomb, 4 seconds later the bomb blows up, now that's 3 seconds. But the tier 5, so the bomb will now stun MOABs when it hits them. And I probably sent a bit too many there, but you can see the one I hit at the front kind of falls back. And also the flash bomb that it throws once the MOABs get closer, the flash bomb stuns them for a really short period of time. And the Flash Bomb also got damage increased from 1 to 5. So Master Bomber, a lot of all-round buffs, and it's obviously not doing too impressive here, but when you put like 20 Shinobi Tactics around it, which I could not be bothered doing right now, but when you do that, it's very good. Yeah, can't argue there. I would like to see, maybe, I don't know if it's really worth the price at this point, but definitely good in free play, and we might be able to see some actual strategy for it before free play now. Your perma-brew here, basically, the acidic mixture dip now lasts forever. So the perma-brew always applied a stronger stimulant, which lasted forever. Now the green buff that it applies, which is acidic mixture dip, the tier 2, that also lasts forever. And that's basically just +1 damage to MOABS and fortified balloons. So +1 damage to MOABS is what you're mainly going to get out of that. Total transformation on the Alchemist also has cooldown reduced from 60 to 40 seconds. Not a huge deal there, but hey, a little bit cheaper. Cripple MOAB, nothing changed here except for the price. It was reduced by 10,000, down from 50k. So pretty good price buff, but aside from that, same tower. The Monkey Sub, so Ballistic Missile is about 25% faster. Yeah, it was, the cooldown was reduced from 2 seconds to 1.5 seconds. So we send this now, boom. Yeah, pretty good. Oh, I didn't mean to actually sell my tower, lol. The actual main strength for this tower, which I always saw, is around 63. It's good at really thick clusters of strong things. I'll set this to strong. So I'm obviously not going to deal very well with the whole round in general, but this one tower took out that pack of ceramics like nothing. Like, once the next pack of ceramics spawns, you'll see it again. Come on, get in. There, so the pack of ceramics, 1 shot, 2 shot, and they're gone. They're reduced completely down to blacks and whites. So it's very good for dealing with large clusters of ceramics. Only problem is this effectiveness is lost quite a lot once you reach around 81, of course. It's still effective. Like if you have a group of them, you'll do it just as well. But yeah, the one single one won't be this effective anymore. Still a good tower. I kind of don't see why it doesn't see more use. But it's probably just because the bottom airburst path just feels so much more enjoyable to use, really. And the tier 5, I would have liked to have more of a change here, but basically the Ballistic Missile is just even faster. So as you can see, it's 3 times faster than the tier 3. Very quick. It's no stronger, but 3 times faster. And I'm not even seeing their ceramic spawn. Where are they? Wait, are they gone? Maybe I'm blind. Okay, so they basically just spawn as pinks, that's why. Because I just destroyed them too quick. But yeah, so it's pretty good. I don't know if that will make the preemptive strike good enough. Personally, I won't really use that too much more often because it's just too expensive for what it does. But it is a very good tower. It's just a bit too expensive to use before free play. Long-awaited buff here. The sub commander, it now buffs itself. So it's not weaker than all the subs around it. Because it used to be basically, it was exactly the same as them, but it buffed them and didn't buff itself. Now it buffs itself. And it also, in addition to applying this regular buff to itself, it also has double attack rate. So it's as good as 2 of the tier 4 subs that are also buffed by it. Yeah, I'm bad at explaining things, aren't I? But hey, if we shoot this now, that is a very fast attack rate, as you can see. Deals with MOAB like nothing, as you'd expect for a tower this expensive. It's not really worth the price on its own still. It never will be. It's meant to be a buffing tower, but as you can see, you can actually deal with a BFB now. And if we send a Zomj, we'll probably leak something, I imagine. But actually, let's just give it a bit more coverage. Put some glue guns around the place. Alright, oh, actually, whoa, put another one here. Let's just get full coverage so we can actually give ourselves the best chance. We should be able to destroy it pretty good now. Yeah, there we are. So stuff makes it to it, but yeah, it dealt with the Zomj okay. You can't really complain too much about that. If I sent a fortified, it would probably get either close to the entrance or leak a few lives, but it's a pretty cheap tier 5 tower, so I like it, hey. Never miss targeting, got some changes here. And basically the lifespan and speed and the homing tightness was all increased. So it actually, if you can see here, All the shots are actually hitting. I mean, just saying, it's not actually called a never miss, so you can't really say that we misnamed it, but all the shots currently are hitting. Even when they go the wrong direction, they loop around and hit. So it is a lot more effective at actually hitting things, and I don't think this was really necessary myself. I think it was always good, but now it's a bit better. So hey, can't complain there. And top half tier 5, the Sky Shredder. So the radial darts that come out around it, like not the missile. The missile is the main thing you want this for because it can take out DDTs real easy, but these darts around the edges, they actually deal, their damage was increased from 2 to 3. So I'll just send around 81. So it kind of, on longer maps, it can shred up the ceramics real good, and when it actually flies over them, they're gone. So these are super ceramics, and they're getting pretty wiped out, honestly. Obviously, this is a good map for it, like the layout is just perfect, but as it flies over them, they're just gone. And it cuts them down, decently from a distance, but as it flies over them, they're just gone. And I love that so much. See, boom, gone. Gone. Every time it flies over them, they're gone. It's just, yeah. It's really satisfying to see that. And let's just throw in a glue storm here for good measure. Let that cool down. Send this round again. Let's just do top puff here. Glue storm, and gone even faster. Yeah, even the MOAB's gone. Very satisfying. Very satisfying. Won't be great on longer maps, but on shorter maps, but longer maps like this, definitely very satisfying. This one's debated. A lot of people don't like it, but Spectre received a buff / price increase. The amount of buff outweighs the price increase, but the price increase does mean that it'll be harder to get, so that kind of outweighs the buff as well. But I got the wrong crosspath for this, considering there's no camo on this round. But basically, it does +1 damage on the main attacks. Actually, I will just quickly... So let's push it here, a bit better positioning, and we'll get the actual rapid fire. So we send around 81 now. And this is a much more effective way to actually use this tower on this particular map. As you can see, it's a lot cheaper than it's tier 4 and it's a lot cheaper than the Sky Shredder, so it's not doing anywhere near as good as it, but it still actually is doing quite good damage to these guys now. Remember, this is, so the price was increased from 18k to 24k, so it is $6,000 more expensive. That is worth taking into account. It's a pretty big price increase, and I just leaked 1 ceramic, but that... Hey, this is round 81. I leaked 1 super ceramic. It is actually quite effective. In the Flying Fortress, this was increased even more. So the darts were increased from 2 damage to 4, and the bombs were increased from 3 damage to 5. So if we get this one, and what's a good round? I mean, let's try 100. Why not? Hey, see what it can do. Can it actually destroy a bad now? The answer may shock you. First of all, it doesn't have camo, so no, it cannot. It's going to miss the DDTs. But yes, it actually can destroy a bad. And that was actually that was like a third of the track, so that was actually pretty fast. And will this make it viable before free play? Absolutely not, because you literally cannot afford it that early. Like, it's too expensive. But it's a very, very strong tower. If you farm for it, it'll do work. Moving on to the Helipilot. The Apache was also increased in price. This is a much smaller one. It's from 16,000 to 19,000, roughly. So it's about 3,000 more expensive. But when we get it, and we'll get the faster firing path. So the damage from the rockets was increased to 2 from 1, double damage rockets. The main attack, just the machine gun, was increased by 25% speed. So The price increase is about 25%, so it is more than 25% better. It'll be a bit harder to get, but it is definitely stronger for the price. Whether or not that equates to actually being better is more up for debate, but it is definitely stronger for the price. Try around 81, see how it goes. Definitely struggles on super ceramics. That's always been the problem with the Apache. Is that only one? Did I send it twice? Wait. That seems a lot thicker than I would have thought. I don't know. Maybe the layering's just weird. But we're getting a decent amount of pops. Obviously, the main power of the rockets is a bit lost if you let it go all the way to the front like that. That's the main problem. Pursuit on this thing is a bit finicky. It gets lost on the super ceramics, but before round 81, it is very effective. And we'll just try that out now. I may as well just try 78, right? Whatever. So this is around 78. It does get pulled off by the thick pack of ceramics there, as you can see, but it actually does deal with them a lot better because they're not super ceramics and it has a lot of pierce. So this tower is cheap enough to use before 81. It's the kind of tower that you don't really expect to go too well after then though. And oh, I didn't mean to tell it. Whoops, and again. So Apache Prime, this inherits the 25% machine gun boost from the previous upgrade. So the plasma machine gun on this thing is now also 25% faster. In addition to that, the plasma machine gun increases from 3 to 5 damage, and the MOAB rockets that it fires are increased from 11 to 16 damage. So this thing was buffed pretty sizably. How do I... Here we go. So I'll try the round 81 on it now. And yeah, it pretty much blows them up. Yeah. It's quite strong. It still suffers the same problem it does of the super ceramics, unfortunately. Pursuit will kind of mess it up. But obviously this round it wasn't that bad. On higher rounds, when the ceramics move faster, you might be better not using Pursuit and just holding it on the MOABs, because its main power is actually just MOAB power. Like, it has a lot of power against MOABs. It doesn't have much ceramic power, which is why it falls off a lot after round 81, why it always has. But people who know how to use this effectively actually get a lot more out of it, because it's just not a Pursuit tower. It just doesn't work well in Pursuit, unfortunately. But as we can see, it is doing quite considerable damage to the bad here. We're probably still gonna... Actually, no, right, I don't have it on... I don't have camera detection, so it's not gonna bother going after the DDTs. DDTs cause it trouble, because they move so fast. But let's just give it camera detection. Lower health DDTs, it can actually destroy. But as you can see, it does have trouble chasing them. But it does destroy them still, too. It can deal with a bad, though. On a longer map like this, it can deal with a bad. It destroyed them about halfway through, but obviously it didn't deal the DDTs. It probably would have leaked something there, or at least clutched it right near the entrance, I believe. I may as well just check that. This is a solo comparison as well, by the way, with a very cheap tower. Oh, I mean, okay, very expensive tower, but considering this is the only tower, like, if this is the only tower you had in a Chimps game, and it was this... and you did this much damage with it, then you can't really complain. But yeah. How well are we going to do against these DDTs? Right, so we did manage to get them. We're fine. Oh, I underestimated it. It's actually better than I thought. But it took us about 2/3 of the map to actually destroy it. So longer maps, fine. Shorter maps, it's going to have a lot of trouble. Now, onto probably my favorite change. Well, not yet, but the Mortar. The Mortar has my favorite change, right at the end. Alright, so the top path Bigger Blast, the radius was increased slightly. Now, if we go up to the tier 4, price was reduced from 10k to 8k. And the blast radius was also increased considerably. I think it's not really, I think it doesn't show you a true blast radius, because we haven't quite updated the art for the radius yet. But if I just send, oh my god, I did not meant to send the bad. Wait, I'm sending around 100, what am I doing? Wait, right, so I just, stupid. Anyway. Actually, let's remove that spacing, that's not helpful. One spacing. Alright, so they're kind of getting damaged a little bit outside of radius. You can't tell so well with ceramics, actually. What am I doing? Boom. So as you can see, they're getting damaged all the way up to the curve there. So the blast radius is actually quite a lot outside the visual radius. And if we upgrade to the biggest one, which was reduced from 30,000 to 24,000, the blast radius was increased by quite a big amount. And it's pretty much a lot, quite a lot. Let's focus this in the middle. It can hit basically the whole map. The pierce isn't quite enough to cover it, but it can actually, in terms of size, cover the whole map, basically. And if we send those ceramics, and these are super ceramics, so it does struggle, unfortunately, but it's covering the whole map, basically. Very huge radius. It needs to have the visual updated. That is tasked up, and hopefully it will come. Unfortunately, it didn't come in this update, though. Okay, so moving on. The middle path, heavy shells, now deals extra damage to MOABS, just +1. Helps a little bit. The tier 4 is going to be quite good now because that attack rate, it'll be good at crushing MOABS. But not much too exciting there. Now the good one, which is my favorite, Blue Incineration. So price was reduced from 55 to 50k. It can now hit all balloon types, and every time it hits the ground, it creates a wall of fire. So I mean, it sounds cool at first, it looks cool at first, but then you realize it's actually kind of ridiculously good. It's actually quite ridiculous, and let's just max this out straight away because it's so fun to max things out like this. And let's just be absolutely certain that's in radius. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of wall of fires there, quite a lot. Let's send our B80. I want. Oh, that's 100. That's 1,000. I don't know. Okay, let's just do one. Okay, so send one, and I'm gonna use my cold arms now, just so I can stack up a huge stack of wall of fires, and burn through that. And it's already taken a damage state. This is an AoE tower, by the way, so it's not meant to deal with a single target like a bad. And I'm basically just going to keep on keeping ahead of this. The main power is also in the damage over time, so it kind of falls off a bit on a single target like this because it can't stack the damage over time, unfortunately. But the damage over time is still quite high. It does 300 per hit. It just takes 3 seconds to deal that. And I'll speed this up, actually. I just have to try and keep ahead of it because I want to keep it dragging through walls of fire. And there we go. I'll leak the DDTs because I am terrible. And let's just target it there. Activate my call to arms again to stack up another fire pile. And I burn through them quite quickly. Oof. And obviously I timed that pretty badly, but how much damage did I do? I did almost 60,000 damage to that bad. And this is around 100 bad too, by the way. Now, on the other hand, need to wait a bit for my cooldown. Alright, so I've got my cooldown. Just go a bunch of these, activate this, send some BFBs. So how does it do against like 200 BFBs? Yeah, shreds them. I'm hitting my PS cap a lot, but ooh, it's so fun. I love this, and I just did 500,000 damage like nothing. It's, yeah. Basically, the one weakness this thing had was that once it shredded off the top MOAB layers, it had nothing to deal with the children that came out, and now it kind of does. This actually helps quite a lot if you use it right. I'm using it real bad here because I'm just trying to show it off, but but it's actually quite nice. And when these hit it, oof, melted. All right. So Spike Factory, these are kind of small ones, not really much to show off here, but the spike balls, the damage to ceramics was increased 3 to 4. Spike mines, damage increased 4 to 5. The MOAB shredder path was damage to MOABs increased 4 to 5. The carpet of spikes, damage increased 5 to 6. So just +1 basically to their special, whatever they're good against, they get +1 again. Permaspike, the 105 upgrade was increased. The pierce buff was increased from 10 to 20. It's still worse than attack speed, but it makes the top path a little bit better. It's still quite a lot worse, but I mean, you get lead popping, so there is a gain there. Yeah, you'd still always and generally want to go middle path, cross path, but it's just something. So, quite a big one here. Primary expertise. This thing is a bit of a monster now. Quite a bit of a monster. So the pierce bonus it gives to primary towers and radius was increased from 2 to 4, and this is incredible with the Inferno Ring, the new Inferno Ring. And now the main ballista attack also does 200 damage. So one shots MOABs basically. This is around 100, so they're not getting one shot. I'm gonna take that back down to 1. What am I doing? But yeah, one shots MOABs, one shot ceramics. It racks up damage pretty quick, basically. It's strong. It's pretty strong. Just straight up, there's not much more you can say of that. It's strong. Now, Call to Arms. Call to Arms was reduced from 24k to 20k, so it's a bit cheaper. And Homeland Defense had the duration increased from 15 to 20 seconds, as well as the buff increased from +50% to +100%. So Homeland Defense is pretty awesome now. I also don't have Oban selected, but Oban was changed, and basically he does double damage, and he gives double the pierce buff. His base damage was increased from 1 to 2. His level 2 pierce buff was increased from 1 to 2, so all magic towers nearby get 2 pierce. His level 9 damage buff was increased from 1 to 2. His level 14 damage buff was increased 1 to 2, and his level 19 damage buff was increased 1 to 2. So he just got basically double damage, and his pierce buff that he gives to other stuff was doubled as well. Captain Churchill here, his XP curve was lowered by 10%, so basically you'll get him to level 20 10% faster. Nothing too special, just a little bit quicker there. And that's all there really is to this update. I mean, a lot of work went into these balance things. I know there's still a lot more balance that needs to come, and a lot more that is being worked on, a lot more that's planned to happen, but it kind of has to happen slowly because we don't have a big enough balance team, it's just me by the way, to actually test these things over huge, every situational whatever, and then get them out every update. That's hard, man. So a lot of balance is relied upon making changes and then seeing how community reaction is and then adapting to that. So there's a bit of a reason why it has to be a bit slow. We can't just make huge sweeping changes to everything across the board every update. We're not big enough to do that. But anyway, this is the 8.0 update. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions or anything, feel free to leave comments on this video, or catch me on Discord or BTD6 Reddit, or anywhere you find me, whatever. And yeah, have fun with the update, and I'll see you around.